What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the garage. If you haven't watched my last video, definitely go ahead and watch that. It was an update video that I posted, just letting you guys know everything has been going on because it has been a long time since I've posted. So if you haven't watched that video already, definitely go watch that. But for this video, I'm going to be walking you guys around a little bit closer look at this new Ford Thunderbird that we bought for the channel. All right, so here she is. This is the Ford Thunderbird. Let me fix that zoom there. There we go. So this is a 1995 Ford Thunderbird that I picked up. I actually traded that old truck for this car. I wanted to give you guys a little bit closer look at the car and a little bit more explanation into kind of what I plan on doing with the car over the course of the next couple of months that we have it. So first things first, one of the first things that we're going to be doing to the car is actually just putting new tires on it. I don't know if I can pick this up on the camera. Let's see, where's a good spot? Here we go. I don't know if you guys can see that, but all of the tires on this thing are dry rotted pretty badly. And this front tire especially leaks air, like a bunch of air, so I've had to fill it up a number of times. So that's going to be one of the first big things we do to the car is just tires. There's going to be a lot of little projects like that, just kind of fixing things on the car so that it runs and drives a little bit better, a little bit more reliably before we start really getting into any other work on the car. Now, I still haven't figured out exactly what I want to do with the car as far as upgrades and stuff, but I've got a little bit of an idea figured out based on kind of some of the stuff that's available to do in this town. So as far as races go, drag racing is probably not really a good option. There are a couple of drag strips located around the area, but the closest one I think is a little over an hour away. And all of the drag strips are not great. They're not fantastic because drag racing is not really a big sport here in Montana. So we're probably going to hold off on drag racing until I've got a truck and a trailer and we can, more realistically take a trip to a better track somewhere in another state and do some more competitive drag racing. So for now, probably not going to do any drag racing. That being said, there are some really cool race events that do happen in the area. And what this car is going to be used for is, if any of you have ever heard of the SCCA, honestly don't remember what that stands for, but the SCCA is an autocross event that does, it's kind of like a rally type course. Yeah, basically they get a big parking lot and they set up a course with a bunch of cones. And then you just kind of race through one at a time and see who can get the best time. And it's a real fun event to go to. It's also a lot easier to get into. For that event, I don't have to put a roll cage in the car. I don't have to have, $10,000 worth of safety gear that I'm wearing. I just have to have a certified helmet that they're okay with, and my car has to be in good running, driving condition. It can't be a shit box. It's got to be a little bit better than that, but it is an event that's pretty easy to get into, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm definitely be doing some SCCA rallycross races, or autocross races as they call it. That's most likely what we're going to be building this car for. Now, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the car. So like I mentioned in the last video, the aftermarket support for this thing is terrible. So let me pop this open. Just going to show you a little bit closer. I also did do a little bit more research. Like I said in the last video, I am not a big Ford guy. This is going to be hard to do with one hand. All right. So I'm not a big Ford guy. In the last video I mentioned that I don't know a whole ton about this engine. I went to a car meet the other day and one of the guys there, he actually knows a lot about Fords, a lot about these cars. And he's probably going to be helping me out at some point while I'm working on this thing. What I figured out is this engine is the 4.6 liter V8 2-valve. This is the 2-valve V8 that they made for these cars. And I was correct. This is the same engine you would find in Crown Vics from the same late 90s era, as well as the Ford Mustang uses this same engine as well. Now, as far as power, this engine is pretty crap when it comes to power because it's the 2-valve. The 4-valve does a whole lot better. So the guy that I was talking to, he said that he had one of these engines in a Mustang, and he built it up. He put some cams in it. He did a cold air intake, bigger injectors. He had it tuned, better exhaust. It was a pretty decently built engine. He went and raced somebody who had the 4-valve version, and he pretty much, it was just a head-to-head race. They kind of kept up with each other the whole time, and that 4-valve that he raced was bone stock. So when it comes to power, I don't think I'm ever going to be making a whole ton of power out of this car. Definitely don't expect to do that. Now, that being said, I think what we're going to do for this is we're probably just going to stick to doing something like a cold air intake, which is going to have to be custom because they don't make a cold air intake kit for this. And then we're going to do a custom exhaust because the only exhaust kit I found is $3,000. So we're going to do a custom exhaust, custom cold air intake. And we're probably going to leave it at that. There are some other things I need to do just to kind of get the engine back up to snuff. We're going to replace the spark plugs, the injectors, obviously oil change and stuff like that. But as far as performance parts goes, I'm not going to do a whole lot of work. And the main reason for that is because this engine here is already hurt. It's not in great shape. It does burn oil. So it's going to need to be rebuilt. And I think that if I'm going to have to pull the engine out to rebuild it, I might as well take this engine and toss it and put a 4-valve in here. And then from there, we can kind of look at doing a little bit more intense build on the engine itself to add a little bit more power to it. But yeah, that's kind of the situation with the engine as far as racing goes. Now, when it comes to racing, there's another racing event that they do here in Montana that I am 100% going to get into. Like, guarantee you 100% I'm going to get into that event. And that is Yellowstone off-road racing. They do these huge off-road endurance races all over the state of Montana, and I 100% want to get into those. Obviously, 95 Ford Thunderbird is probably not going to be the best car for an off-road race. So I'm going to keep my eye out for something that I can build up for an off-road race, and we'll definitely do a little bit more of a build on that. I've got a couple of really good ideas floating around in my head, but it really just comes down to what I'm going to be able to find, what I'm going to be able to get my hands on for a good build that'll be a fun off-road race vehicle. And then this vehicle here, again, just going to be my daily driver for now, and then eventually it's pretty much going to turn into just sort of an autocross thing with the SCCA. I'll go to a couple of events there, race this. I think most of the work that we're going to do on this car is going to be cosmetic. I'm thinking a cosmetic upgrade would be better. Obviously, you can see the paint on the hood is pretty bad. It's fading. There's some surface rust. The clear coat is just wrecked on this car. The guy that I got it from, he said that his whole plan when he bought the car is he was going to repaint it. He was going to restore the original paint and then resell the car. That's all he really does. And then he looked at the cost of the paint. The camera probably doesn't pick it up super well, but this is a chroma shift color. I don't know exactly what Ford calls this color, but it's kind of a chroma shift. It's purple, blue, green, depending on the light, depending on the angle you're looking at it from. And the cost of this paint from Ford, like if you want to paint match this and fix it, it's $1,000 a gallon. So probably not going to do that. We are going to be losing the original color. So to all you big Ford guys out there that love this stock color, I'm sorry, but I'm not spending that much money on paint. That being said, we are going to throw a paint job on it. Haven't officially decided the color yet. I'm kind of leaning towards like a dark midnight blue with a matte finish, and then some custom wheels and tires I think would look pretty sweet. And this car will be kind of a little bit of a show car. I'll take it to some of the Cars and Coffees and stuff, sit around just so people can look at it, but I'll also take it to the SCCA autocross events and race around, have fun. It'll just be a fun little car that we can cruise around and have some fun with. But I think eventually long term for big, fancy, high power builds, this probably isn't going to be one of them. We're definitely going to be doing some bigger builds with other cars in the future. Now, like I said, this engine burns oil. I think the reason the exhaust is so quiet, I mentioned in the last video, it's just catalytic converters and a straight pipe. And it's super quiet. It sounds stock, like it's crazy. And I looked under there a little bit closer. It looks like there was a muffler at some point that somebody cut off, deleted out of there, but it's still super quiet. And I think it's because the catalytic converters are clogged. So because there are no emissions laws in Montana, one of the big things that we're going to do once we've got time and some money and I've got the parts and everything is I'm going to take a weekend and we are going to go ahead and tear the exhaust off the car. I'm going to cut them up. Words, can't speak English today. Let's try this again. I'm going to cut the catalytic converters out of it and just do straight pipe. I think I'll go 2.5 inch from the motor down to a Y pipe and then go out like 3 inch out to the back. I think that would be a pretty decent sounding exhaust, just straight pipe, no mufflers, no nothing. I think that would sound pretty decent. And it should make the car pick up a little bit on power. It's definitely pretty gutless right now with the engine the way it is. It's not able to breathe real well, and it's burning oil. So that's gonna be one of the big projects. The first couple things is tires, cold air intake, exhaust, and then we'll start looking at paint. Obviously the windshield is pretty beat up. This crack right here runs right through my line of sight when I'm trying to drive, so paint, windshield's gonna change, wheels and tires for sure because these things are ugly. Probably gonna change out the headlights. I might try to find a different bumper for this because this bumper is in really rough shape. Same goes for the rear bumper as well. I believe there's a hole in it back here. Yep. So that right there, pretty beat up. So I may try to find different bumpers for the car. Obviously we got the wing we got to redo as well. But we're gonna go ahead and do paint, windshield. We're gonna redo the tint on all the windows. You can kind of see, if I get this on camera, the tint is peeling off. All the windows are doing this. So lots of cosmetic stuff that needs to be done to this car. And then obviously a couple of little performance things, make it run a little bit better. The main goal with this one is not necessarily to add a whole bunch of power. I'm not looking to be, you know, muscle car status. I'm pushing 500 horsepower type deal. I'm really just looking to make it a little bit more responsive, accelerate off the line a little bit better, just sound better, look better. So it's a nice, fun cruise around car. But again, if you guys have any other ideas or if you know where I can get more aftermarket kind of bolt-on stuff for this thing, that I'm just not seeing out there, let me know. Throw a comment down below as to what or where you think I might be able to find something or what ideas you have for this car. Maybe some things I could do to make it a little bit cooler, a little bit faster, whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's a bit of a closer look. Let me go ahead and grab my keys and I'll start it up so you can see it. It sounds a little bit better. I did cut off this chunk of exhaust here. So this stuff here, you can kind of see like it's real small exhaust. This was what was coming out of the end of the car. So I cut that off. It does breathe a little bit better. It sounds a little bit better than it did, but it's still pretty quiet. Let's go ahead and fire this bad girl up. Let you guys hear what she sounds like. There's also some noises coming from behind the motor that I haven't quite figured out yet. So that's gonna be another thing we're gonna have to work on. Ugh. Kind of hear it's not super loud, it doesn't sound super awesome, but you can hear the exhaust now. You couldn't really before. But we've got a lot of weird noises coming from up here. I don't know if you can hear me over the noise, but definitely an older car for sure. So as you can hear, the car is definitely not the healthiest of things. So this car did sit for, I believe, about 5 years before I actually picked it up. This car was just sitting. So it was in rough shape. It's running better now than it was. You know, I've done a little bit of work. I ran some seafoam through the intake and everything. Cleaned it up a little bit. I pulled the mass airflow sensor off and I cleaned that. I cleaned the throttle body. I also pulled off this section of the air box. This came from down under in here. So now it's just the filter in here and then it runs through this. So that all made the car run a little bit better. It idles a lot better now. It hasn't stalled on me in quite a while. It's definitely doing a lot better, but I've obviously got a lot more work to do on it. But I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a closer look at the car because I didn't cover a whole lot last time when I made that update video. So this can kind of give you guys a little bit better picture of what we're working with and kind of what the plans are. Again, I don't know exactly the direction I want to go with this, but for sure we're going to be doing a cold air intake, exhaust, wheels, tires, and then just some little bit of cleanup stuff on the engine. We're going to do the injectors and the spark plug wires. The water pump needs to be replaced. It still works. The car doesn't overheat, but the water pump is making some real weird noises. So, you know, water pump's going to get replaced. A lot of little things like that. And that's kind of pretty much be it for now until we start getting into the cosmetic stuff. And then I think whenever this engine does eventually give up and it blows up and dies, then I'll start looking on the market, see if I can find a 4-valve version of the 4.6 that we can throw in here. Maybe turn this into a little bit more of a race car, have some more fun with it. But yeah, I think that's it for now. As far as the update video goes, I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot of filming because, again, I think I mentioned it in the last video. I don't know if I did. I packed my camera and my tripod in a box somewhere when I moved, and I have no idea what box I put it in. So I'm filming on my phone right now, so I apologize for the crappy footage and probably the crappy audio as well. But I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot of filming. I don't really have a way to mount this camera up and kind of show you what I'm doing. And I'm also pretty tight on money at the moment because I'm in the middle of transitioning from the military to civilian life. So starting a new job here next week, and we're just a little bit tight on money at the moment. So not a whole lot of work is going to happen over the next couple of weeks, but definitely within the next month or so, we're probably going to do a little bit. I'll see if I can maybe get a cold air intake done, try to get a video of that as well. But yeah, stay tuned for more videos. And again, if you guys have any ideas for the car, anything you want to see done with the car, as far as an event that you want me to go to, or work that you want me to do to the car, parts you want me to throw on it, whatever the case may be, drop a comment down below and I will definitely consider it. That is it for now. I will see you guys next time.